True story, not a fun story, but a true story. I hope my mum isn't watching. I remember a time when I was about year 8, I was at high school and I brought home my report card and I was really proud of it because they were all A's and A minuses and there was one B plus. And I gave it to my mum expecting her to say, "Well done, Michael." And she looked through it and then she said, "Oh, you got a B plus in English. What's wrong with you in English?" And I remember just feeling so shattered. I mean, man, I'm 36 now. That was a long time ago. And I still remember the deflating feeling of, I can't believe she's looking at that. What about the rest of it, you know? And so that brings me to what we're going to chat about today, which is super important, which is helping our child pick the main goals and focus on that at the same time as avoiding overly criticizing our kids. I'm not saying we don't give our children feedback, we should, but there's a difference between feedback and criticism. And the difference is not in how we convey it, it's in how they hear it. Now, sometimes parents look at the work that their children have done at tutoring and say, "Hey, there's not enough red pen all over this work. Why aren't you correcting all my child's mistakes?" And when parents say that, I sort of go, well, what was the goal of that piece of work? If the goal was for your child to write long sentences, there's no point in me going and correcting spelling because that wasn't the goal. This week I sat down with a girl in year 5 and she sort of sat in front of a blank page. She was sort of scared to write, you know. And I just said to her, "Look, I don't care about your spelling. I don't care if it makes perfect sense or if your grammar's right or your punctuation. Let's just have a go. You know, let's see what happens when we try and create some longer, more detailed sentences." And so that little girl was focusing on creating longer sentences. You know, I went to the shops with my mum to buy milk instead of I went to the shops. I was with mum, we bought milk. You know, I was trying to get her to be a bit more creative. And so that piece of paper, it was full of spelling mistakes, the grammar wasn't right, and it went home, and I sort of think, that mum might be thinking, or that dad might be thinking, "Oh, did he even read this? Of course I read it." But what was the goal? The goal wasn't to pick on a spelling and a grammar, the goal was to hit something else. Now, we'd much rather send home a piece of work with a sticker or a smiley face than full of red pen all over it. Another thing is that when I'm a school teacher, because I'm also a school teacher, it's my job to correct students' work. It's my job to fill their page with demoralizing red pen. Don't ask me why, but that's how our school system works. Now, when we're at tutoring, our goal is to encourage and build up. So often when your child's been writing, we will have helped them pick out a couple of the errors they've made and improve that without trying to hit every single error. Because if your child produces all that work and then all we do is go and, you know, attack their work by getting them to fix every single mistake, what they're going to do is they're going to stop taking risks, they're going to play it safe. They're going to use short sentences, they're going to stick to spelling words they know how to spell. And that's the opposite of what we're trying to create. So for us, it's a bit of a balance between giving the feedback that needs to be given and picking the main goals versus also being a little bit thorough as well and going, you know, there are standards, let's try and lift our standards just a little bit. Now, how can you support this mindset when you're at home with your child? I guess the big thing is looking at their intentions rather than their results. You know, we want to, as parents, be people who are, you know, when our child shows us their report cards, who our eyes aren't drawn straight away to the spot of weakness. We want to be giving balanced feedback of going, you know what, you did great in this, this, and this. What happened over here? We can work on that. Let's chat with the guys at tutoring and see if they can help us with that. But overall, I'm just really pleased with your effort. I can see it's paying off for you.